Hey, fam. We have an awesome guest because we only bring on awesome guests. We don't bring you guys mediocre. But today's guest, her name is Dawna Lee Heising, and she was first introduced to us by Joe Williamson, her manager, and then we got further connected to her through Linnell Gibson, who is a personal friend of ours, a friend of the show. She's taken a lot of our pictures. She's an awesome actress, so thank you both, Joe and Linnell. I'm basically going to read off Dawna's IMDb because I don't think that I can do her justice by just generally saying what she does. So, a former Miss Chinatown, Miss California Hemisphere, Miss Sort Flicks International, Miss Orange County Universe, and Miss World, as well as countless other pageant wins. Dawna has starred in Samurai Cop 2, Deadly Vengeance, #1 grossing indie martial arts action movie of 2015. And Dawna got her start in classic films like My Science Project, Blade Runner, Big Trouble in Little China. And Dawna also has a lot of production experience and has worked as a film producer. So, she's done everything. And in this interview, you'll hear about, she started in the pageant world and then got involved in acting and then took some time off and did other stuff and then came back. And, now she's having great success. I mean, it just goes to show you, hard work and keeping at it really does pay off.
Yeah.
And she's great at building those relationships. I mean, she talks about a lot of people on this episode that she's worked with multiple times. She's a great example of how you have to work in this business and how you have to be.
The hustle is real. So stay hustling, guys. Don't compare yourselves to anyone, even the guests we bring on the show. Just learn what they learned from their career paths, and I think try to apply it in your own way because we all have different strengths, and I think you can hear that through this episode. She really knows what's working for her and what's not. So on that note, y'all, enjoy.
Awesome. Well, let's just get right into it. I mean, thank you so much for coming on today. For our guests that don't know, we've had a couple of guests in the past few seasons be recommended to us by Joe Williamson, and he was the one that led us to you. And then we really got to connect with you through our friend Linnell Gibson, who has taken some awesome photos for us. So listeners, if you love our photos, hit us up and we will send you to Linnell. But I'm really glad that we got to make this connection because you've done some really cool stuff. When we first found you, we were reading your IMDb and we're like, okay, so she started out as a pageant queen, and then she moved to, horror and thrillers and action and all these really cool films. So I guess our first question is just kind of tell us how you got started and what, drove you from pageants to acting and just all of that, kind of your beginner journey.
Okay, well, actually, I'll start at the beginning. I'm Chinese, Japanese, and American Indian. And so, coming from an Asian family, education is really important. My uncle is Tak Fujimoto, who is the DP on Silence of the Lambs, Philadelphia Dance. And he's legendary, actually. He's in textbooks because he's so good. So my family, and then I have a cousin named David Wong, who with his husband, George Doherty, they won a Primetime Emmy for Peter and the Wolf on Broadway.
Oh, wow.
So, and George is a professional composer. He's so talented. And David does all the lighting and they design the show. So, my relatives are just so extraordinarily talented and they're behind the scenes. They're not just acting. Mm-hmm. So their jobs are really important and my whole family is really proud of them. And I was always the type of person, I've been in dance my whole life. I was always a cheerleader. I was always interested in the other stuff that maybe my family didn't really value. I mean, I got straight A's, but I am definitely not the smartest person in my family, probably the opposite. I mean, we have three geniuses in our family, my dad, my brother, and my sister. My sister went to Harvard Law School. My dad died, but he has 12 patents in computers. He joined the Air Force at 15. He came over from China when he was 10 by himself. My brother went to Essie's film school. I was like the cheerleader in the family, if you know what I
That's what I was saying.
Performer.
Yeah, I was gonna say
yeah,
too.
yeah, I was just different. My other sister is more like me, maybe more social, whatever. So anyway, I've always loved. I mean, I've taken dance my whole life, so I've always loved performing. Because of that, I got an AA in theater arts from Fullerton College. I got an AS in chemistry from Cypress College. I went to Long Beach State in Cal State Fullerton and took acting classes there.
Cool.
And then I went up to UC Berkeley and I took acting classes there. And I also took Chinese and chemistry because I was going to be a dietitian. But I won Miss San Francisco Universe. And so I got discovered for Fantasy Island. And I was Miss Hawaii on an episode years ago. And then I also played Cleo the Snake Dancer on The Last Magnum PI.
That's
so,
awesome.
and I danced with a snake on stage. I thought it was my big break. I was so excited. But when I saw the program, I got cut out. I was like this big poster on the side of a building. Magnum was sitting in front of it. So that was my big acting part. But I was still excited to have it because it was one of my favorite shows.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's how I got started. I became one of the island girls on Fantasy Island, and I worked pretty steadily and I made a lot of money, because in those days they only had the 3 networks and then like big productions. Like I danced in Blade Runner.
Oh, how cool.
And the day rates, and I got into SAG really early, the day rates were much higher in those days. So you could make a lot of money, which you can't make as much these days unless you're on a network program or on a program in a streaming service, or unless you work all the time on one of those platforms, which is not generally what indie actresses do.
Yeah.
We're all trying to get there. Actually I started there. And then so anyway, it was just a lot of fun. It was a great thing to do. But the most important thing was my education. So I got married and I had 2 daughters, and I left the business for a while, and I went back to I went to Pepperdine University, finished my bachelor's and got my MBA.
Wow.
And I went into the technology business for a while. Anyway, they noticed how productive I was, and then I finished my MBA and I became a product planner, and I worked my way up to marketing manager, working for the VP of marketing, Ron Prather, who's still my friend today. And from there, I went to a bunch of companies. But one of the things I did was I publicized my companies. And so it's pretty much like publicizing yourself in acting.
Yeah.
You have to, I had all of these different programs, and let me see, because they were technology companies. So I could go into the technology magazines and see what features were going to be made on my products. And I had to learn all of these different technologies. And it's a good thing that I was really young in those days, because it was like being in school.
Yeah.
all that time because I would go into the bathroom at night after the kids were asleep, and luckily I lived with my mom, so my mom helped with my kids because I was working 12-hour days.
Yeah.
But I would go in with magazines on the latest technologies because I had to keep up with them.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just really, really tough. I missed the film business so much that I started a show called Ion Entertainment with a really talented man named John Cox. And so after I finished working these 12-hour days, we would do interviews. And I got discovered by this agent or manager on LinkedIn. And he saw that I did publicity. So he asked me to do publicity for him. And he handled all of the big horror stars in Hollywood at the time. So that's why everyone thinks that I'm a scream queen now when I'm not, you know? I mean, I really have done just as many comedies and dramas. In fact, I think, well, I love action. I love dramas too. I love Shakespeare. But comedy, I think, is really the thing that I'm best at. And people don't know that because because I just know so many people in the horror industry.
And that's the thing about horror too, is like it's such a like a cult following. You know, people that love horror are like obsessed with horror. So of course those are the people that are coming out, you know, as your biggest fans, and that's why you get, you know, that reputation if you're like involved in horror at all. You know, it's so funny.
But I just got a great role as the character of Lady Dark in Sean G. K's X the End Time. And if you look at the trailer, it's amazing. And it's got a bunch of stars in it, a bunch of international stars, but also American stars. And I was so excited. He contacted me.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
And asked me to play Lady Dark. You know, I mean, I've done over 100 films now. So, but it's the level of film that I want to do. So with my husband, I don't force him to watch anything because he falls asleep during, you know, films. I mean, there's certain ones he'll watch action. You know, unless it's funny. Like he loves Garden Party Massacre. I did that with Gregory Blair. That's a horror film, but it's more funny.
Love that.
I mean, it's fun. It's hilarious, you know, and I hope people will watch that. It's on Amazon Prime. I'm sorry, but you know, I am a publicist. So.
No, yeah, this is great because this is, you know, this allows our audience to see these awesome films, but to get a taste of you in action. You know, which, I want to make sure that we get to watch some of these films too, to actually see that.
If I could recommend any, it would be Garden Party Massacre, Finding Purpose, The Road to Redemption, Dustin Ferguson's Nemesis 5. I have a small scene in it with Mel Novak, but it's a great scene. Oh, and then I had a scene in Samurai Cop 2, Deadly Vengeance with Tommy Wiseau.
Oh, wow.
And I think that was really the start of my rise in this industry. And that was like 5 years ago, something like that. But anyway, it was wonderful working with Tommy Wiseau. And at the time, I didn't know who he was. If I had known, I mean, I would have taken tons of pictures and everything. But there was he has so much charisma. I mean, I just found myself just watching everything he did on the set. And it was a tiny role. I was supposed to be showing him how to use a sword. And I didn't really know what I was doing because I had been taking karate, but not swords.
Yeah.
And so he took me off the set and showed me how to show him how to use swords. So it was really a wonderful experience. And Tommy is fantastic. And actually, that's how Joe became my manager, because he was the producer on the film. And even though I had this tiny little part, he loved it. So he took me on, because I was really, really lucky because now people beg to be with Joe, and that he turns them down because he can only handle, he's got maybe 5 clients now because he worked
Yeah.
so hard for all of
Would-
them.
And that's the kind of manager that you want. I always look for the little boutique companies because you know that they're hustlers. Like my theatrical agent right now, Therese Lynn is her name from the Wayne Agency. I love her because she is a hustler and she is also all about like female empowerment and like she works hard for her clients and she doesn't have a lot of them and that's how she's able to work hard for them.
Yeah, it's like you look at all these other agents and they have like millions of people.
Mm-hmm.
And so, well, I've had a lot of different agents through my career. So,
Yeah.
and I'm friends with all of them. And it's like I wouldn't, if I didn't like them, I wouldn't have gone with them. But a
Mm-hmm.
lot of times you sit and wait for that call,
Right.
because they just have so many people. And you tend to go to the agents who handle the stars. But then if you're not a star, you forget,
Yeah.
that it might not be the best place for you. But
Yeah.
I have the very best agent in the entire world now. Her name's Diana Carter, and I am so, so grateful because she has been the best thing that has happened to my career. And I've only been with her maybe a
That's
year.
amazing.
Okay.
But I feel
Yeah.
like she's part of my family now. I love her beautiful kids, Toby Carter and Akira Carter. It's like I just feel it's a completely different thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like really having an agent. It's like having a family member who
Yeah.
looks after me. Before Diana, I couldn't have been in this career. I couldn't have
Yeah.
made a living without my husband.
And that's so important to have those people, like, whether they are actually like working for you with your career or just supporting you as your husband or your best friend or whoever. Like, it's so important to have those people in your
Exactly.
life.
And I have to say, my husband, my mother, and my father, when he was alive, have been my biggest supporters. And I've needed them because
Yeah.
this is a very, very tough business. I
Yeah.
mean, trolls come out of the woodwork. People try to tear you down the more successful you get. And they told you I don't want to be negative because I'm not. I'm a very positive person.
Yeah.
But you're an
It
actor.
is worth just
Yeah.
mentioning. Like, we don't have to get into it, but it is worth mentioning that, like, yeah, that happens once you see success. People they just want to be negative, and
They want to tear you down.
exactly.
I mean, every day. I get great pleasure in blocking trolls. I'm on Facebook because I have to be for my career.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, you just got to
And-
move on in this business.
Well, I've before this year, I couldn't have done that because I hadn't reached the level that I wanted to, and I still haven't reached it, but I've reached a higher level than I used to have.
Femme. Let me tell you about VidaFair. It's this awesome platform where filmmakers can upload their work and then set their own price. That's right, you could charge as little as 6 cents or as much as $6 for people to watch your film. And the viewers are never going to pay crazy fees because VidaFair isn't a subscription service, and they don't charge more when filmmakers decide to charge more. In fact, VidaFair empowers the micropayment pricing model without requiring it. So while filmmakers can set any price that they want, empowering the micropayment model could become a revolution in film monetization. VidaFair's mission is simple: fair trade film monetization. Live in fairness with video.
And I loved being in technology, but the film business is my first love. So my husband was obviously very successful as a certified financial planner. So he told me that I could go back to show business, and I did. And when it came back, things were completely different. Anybody could make a film. I mean, because of the digital cameras. So many people, and I didn't know that when I first came back.
Yeah.
You know, I was used to filmmaking the way it was when I left.
Right.
I mean, if you look at my IMDb, and by the way, my age is wrong on it. They have me 10 years older and they won't change it. And it's
Oh no.
curious. And I sent them my birth certificate. I have done
Oh my
everything.
God.
But anyway, it is what it is. I am older, you know, so I am really lucky to be having the success that I'm having at my age, and I take nothing for granted. I am grateful to God for
Yeah.
everything He has given me, because at the end of the day, everything comes from God.
No, that's
So
really
anyway,
inspiring that,
that's
you know, a lot to, as a, especially a woman in the industry, for others, you're a role model to really to like young actresses like us, because we are here
oh,
to
thank you.
see our careers in like the long run, you know, have longevity. And that's why partly we are creators. We want to keep creating roles so we can be in control of our careers. So no, it's really
I think
inspiring.
Well,
Yeah.
I think for both of you, you know, I think if you're interested in directing and producing, those are avenues that you should follow so that you can be in control of your own
Absolutely.
careers.
Mhm.
I never, to be perfectly honest, like I told you, I'm a very obsessive person from a very super successful family.
Mhm.
And so I keep up with them in my own way, but you know, being an actress is a different way than the way, if you look at my family, you know, I mean, you know, they're all geniuses and everything in every other field.
Yeah.
So I have been working really, really hard the last 5 years at learning karate, um, learning pole dancing,
That's amazing.
Yeah.
learning everything that I'm, you know, I'm a dancer anyway. And I can't sing, I wish I could, but I have been working on my craft.
Mhm.
Well, actually, I've been working on acting, you know, since I was in high school.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
I was with an acting company learning the Stanislavski method. People don't know that. I was in a theater company working on Stanislavski. So I
Mhm.
know my craft. You
Yeah.
know, it's not that I don't. At South Coast Rep,
Yeah.
I'm studying with Mark York, and it's the Uta Hagen method, because you have to cover more of the stage in acting.
Mhm.
They all follow kind of the same things, but there are different principles. You know, Stanislavski is big on becoming, just
Mhm.
becoming that character, and you know, doing all these exercises before to relax yourself, and that's something that I can do naturally because I've been doing it my whole life.
Yeah.
But learning to move on stage, those are things I had to learn. And so anyway, I came back and it was a completely different industry. In the beginning, I took everything I was offered because I wanted to get used to, you know, being on the
Yeah.
set again.
Yeah.
So I just took everything. A lot of the stuff maybe wasn't stuff that I would take today.
And that's okay. I feel like
Um,
that's so, I love that you pointed that out. You just wanted to throw yourself back in the world and like
Yeah.
learn what's new, how are people operating on set, because as we talk about on the show a lot, like indie filmmaking is always evolving, and especially with new technology.
Yeah.
So that's really key, I think,
Yeah.
for staying up to date. Like you haven't acted in a while, and because you've been busy producing, so go take that smaller role so you can understand what's happening live, you know, on set.
Mhm.
I've been very, very fortunate. I started out with a great young filmmaker named Jared Masters, who's so talented. He cast me in Slink, Teacher's Day, and I won awards for both of those. And he cast me like in 6 films in a row. And
Yeah.
with Jared, I knew he was talented. I knew that they would be great, you know, and
Mhm.
he did great films on no budget. And then I worked with Dustin Ferguson, who's with my manager, Joe Williamson now. Actually, I introduced him to Joe.
Mm-hmm.
And Dustin is the filmmakers that can make great films on no budget are geniuses.
Yeah,
You know,
it's hard.
some of their films may not turn out the way that you expect them to, but they're geniuses because
Yeah.
they do everything on their own. And they're not in this business to just be famous. And, you know, they're there to do the work because they have to do the work.
Yes.
They
Yeah.
have to put the shot lists together. Well, and first, they have to get, Jared wrote all of his scripts, you know, and then he cast them, then he directed them, then he produced them, and then he worked with distributors, and all of his films have found distributors.
That's huge.
So,
Yeah.
and to direct these people on set, he was working with at least one major star in all of his films. And to do, so you'll see when you're on the set with these people, Dustin included, and Dustin has made 10 million films, and he has grown with each film. I mean,
Yeah.
now he's working with A-listers, and I'm begging him to cast me in his film. And so you would just be shocked to see Dustin on a set because he works, it's like a family. It's
Mhm.
always so fun on Dustin's sets. It's like, it seems like on the outside that it's a big party.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love
Maybe
that.
with the people that Dustin casts, but it's
Uh-huh.
not with me because I take acting very seriously. So
Yeah.
I'm one of these people who has to go into the other room if people start talking and laughing and having a good time because I
Yeah.
can't have a good time on the set. My good time is
Right.
is doing the best performance that I can, and I need people to respect that. So I will
Yeah.
go into the bathroom if I have to. Dustin is the same way.
Mhm.
On a set, you will see him in the corner by himself, and everyone's trying to get a piece of him, but
Yeah.
he's ignoring them because he's trying to work on the next scene.
You know, if you have that drive, like you're bound to succeed, you know,
You can't
because
really
you can't
fail.
stop.
You
Yeah.
can't fail in my family.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I went back and I finished my degree later in life. You know, I was in my
Yeah.
20s.
Mhm.
You know, so I didn't follow the usual route. I was in my late 20s when
Yeah.
I finished, when I got my MBA. I was 30, I think. And I felt like a failure in my family because I didn't have an MBA or I didn't have an advanced degree. My daughters have known from the time they were born that they had to go to college.
Yeah.
You know? But I've also drilled in them that they're special, you know, because I felt special because of my mom, because of my family. Family is, to me, one of the
Yeah.
hugest part of who you are.
Yeah.
I really admire the people who are the first college graduates.
Mhm.
I read about them in the paper all the time, but my life was completely different from that. And I had different priorities. You know, I was a beauty queen. I was a
Yeah.
cheerleader. You know, I wanted to be an actress. Completely different from anything that anyone in my family. And I'm never going to just stop.
Yeah.
As long as I'm in this business, I am going to keep, you know, clawing my way
Yeah.
up there. Not using other people, which happens so much in this.
Mhm.
Like if you put out that you're in a film, immediately 10,000 people that know you are going to be contacting, you know, the director or the agent,
Right.
or you know, it's just a fact of the business.
Yeah.
So I try very, very hard not to do that. I will beg Dustin for parts. I will harass him.
But you have
him.
like a close
don't
connection
harass-
with them. I think that's an important distinction. These are
Yeah.
people you've known for so long. You guys have a lovely working relationship.
And you have worked with,
Exactly.
yeah.
And I do publicity for them too.
It's a
so
fair
it's
trade.
because when I do publicity, I have learned from technology companies. I mean, I will say I am great at publicity, and that
Yeah.
could be one reason why people knew who I was, even when I wasn't doing good projects.
Yeah.
I am great. I am excellent at promoting myself.
And you
Yeah.
have to be in this
Well,
business.
Yeah, and see, my husband and my daughters get mad at me when I try to promote them. Everybody else in my family is just so humble.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it drives me crazy because and they won't hear this interview either unless it's by chance, you know.
Yeah.
It's because, you know, they get mad if I publicize them, but hey, you've heard about them. I mean, wouldn't you be proud?
No.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
I have to show people in the industry I am a mother. I am a mother of a great salesperson. I am a mother of a doctor. You know, I am not just a sexy person, or I am not just a scream queen. I am not just someone who will just show up in a cameo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Someone who has who's a worker.
Yeah.
Work to be the best at everything I've tried to do. You know, even though I keep switching.
That you've used everything that you've worked so hard in the different career paths in tech to PR to acting. You've really intelligently utilized all those skills, and it makes so much sense. I can definitely relate to your story. Doing for the past 5 years, I was like top salesman of my showroom, where I sold plumbing supply, like plumbing fixtures, appliances, lighting, worked with project management with contractors, designers, homeowners.
Gosh, and you know what
It's like that's a whole different
you're
world.
like my older
Yeah,
daughter.
it was like,
It's so organized. I can't.
but that's why
believe it.
producing
You know?
makes so much sense to me. Like, I enjoy it, and like I have no problem project managing, and like I really love that world, and it just kind of all made sense. It doesn't overwhelm me because I'm used to that environment of getting all the budgets and talking to so many people and staying professional and selling an idea, selling a film, you know? So,
Oh my gosh, you're someone I need to work
babe,
with in the future.
I'm here for you, Dawna. No, absolutely.
Yeah.
Right. And I think for our listeners who are maybe like how I was, I'm in a transitional state in my career where I'm really trying to focus on a lot of just film projects and work. But I think it's okay, you know, to utilize the skills. We've talked about this too on our show, I'm sure, about your day job skills. Like, Tessa's learned a lot in her world and how to network doing her catering jobs and how to like manage people. And it's, you can learn so much. So don't ever feel that if you're not on a set every single day, that you're not building skills. You can build skills in other ways and really bring that into the film world. And like you said, Dawna, you can end up being better than the people who are titled in those positions in certain ways, and just own it, you know?
Actually, I think that's a really good note to kind of wrap this up on, is like, you've worked so hard in your career and it shows, it is paying off. But it's also, you know your strengths and you know what you're not interested in. And like, those are all such
So
important things too. Like, you know, we all think like we have to be great at everything. And no, like to know your own weaknesses and to know that that's not something specifically you want to do is really important too. And that just magnifies your strengths.
That's something I am really good at, is I know my weaknesses and I don't focus on them. But before I go, there's one film that is really, well, first let me make one announcement.
Yes,
I'm
please.
going to be the queen of the first Kaiju Film Festival. It's going to be on Zoom the 2nd of November. And I looked this up right before the show because the founders, the Dutoit brothers contacted me out of the blue and told me that they wanted to give me an award for my science fiction film. So see, I'm not just a screen queen.
That's
I
awesome.
love that.
Kaiju is about film monsters like Godzilla, who is my favorite. So I am so excited about this. They're giving me a Queen of Kaiju award. And, I think if you looked at anything I do, I love being a queen.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe that's why I do things like this.
Guys,
but
she has this
I'm so
beautiful
excited
jeweled
about this.
crown on right now. I know you can't see her,
I have
but it's
all my crowns up on the shelf, and my daughters try to ignore them. But anyway, I'm so excited. It's November 2nd, the Kaiju Film Festival. It'll be on Zoom, and I'll be promoting it everywhere. The
That's
second
amazing.
thing is, I am going to be on the cover, and I have a feature in a magazine coming out called G Hunter. And I've never worked so hard on an article. I worked with John Kuykendall, and I'm sure he's very sick of me now, but this story is just really important to me. So I hope everyone will watch for the September issue of G Hunter magazine. You can go to my Facebook site if you do want to get a copy. Diana and Joe are all over it. I wanted to really pay tribute to the people who are helping me. But the last thing I've been very, very fortunate this year. I've worked on projects back to back, and I'm very, very tired.
Well, you don't look
I'm sure.
But I did a film, and I just have a small role in this film. It's a film called PTSD, A Soldier's Revenge. And it's Diana and Tony Devon's project. They're the executive producers. The screenplay was written by Tom Anderson. It stars Robert Lusardo, Tom Sizemore, Daniel Baldwin, and Oksana Lada. And Oksana played, I'm sorry, I've never watched The Sopranos, but she was the lead guy's mistress in The Sopranos. So she's coming from network TV.
That's awesome.
In the film, and I was supposed to be the wife of one of the stars, except that he got sick that day. So Tom Anderson plays my husband, and I'm so lucky and I'm so grateful. Tom is an award-winning screenwriter. He's a great actor. And he's going to be writing the sequel to PTSD, and he wins an award every day. And I'm so grateful he played my husband. So
that's really cool.
And it's being directed by Mike Lee and Diana. And it was assistant directed by Paula Morgan, who is one of those organized people. I'm sure she was the line producer on it. She just keeps everything in check. I actually met Paula a long time ago on the set of Albert Pyun's Cyborg, and I played Medusa in it, and Paula was the producer, and she was no nonsense on the set. And Albert was sick, so I tried to stay away from bugging anybody, but I've seen Paula in action before. And so I knew she was going to be like this. And I'm supposed to be in another project with Mike and Paula coming up. I can't talk about it yet. But anyway, it was the best. And Toby and Akira are in the film. They play Oksana's children, so they're my grandchildren.
That's awesome.
It's got such a great story.
Oh my gosh, well, thank you so much for coming on today. And before also we wrap up, so you told our listeners about the films that are coming up or have just come out, but will you also share with them your social media so they can follow you and keep up to date?
My Facebook is Dawna Lee Heising. On Instagram, I'm Dawna Lee Heising. I have a website called DawnaLeeHeising.me.
Perfect.
Okay.
And my website has all of my videos on it. It has all of my pictures, most of my pictures. You know, I try to update it, but I'm working too much these days.
Mhm.
I'm on LinkedIn for my business career, and that's Dawna Lee Heising. I have a YouTube channel that goes back like 17 years now.
Oh, wow.
Because I used to have a show. I still have a show called Eye on Entertainment. I only do interviews now to help promote the projects that I'm in.
Okay.
But we're in our 17th year now. So my YouTube channel is called Eye on Entertainment, and that's EYEON Entertainment, all one
Okay.
word. And we've won awards for that too. But now
That's awesome.
I'm focused on acting, so I only do it to promote the films that I'm in. So I think that covers everything.
That's a lot.
That's awesome.
Very exciting.
Yeah.
So thank you so much. I'm really honored to be on your show.
Yeah, thank you so much. This was a great episode, and I think it'll be inspiring to people. Again, it's like you see that hard work pays off, you know?
And
so,
that no one, everyone has the same path, and we just love how all these twists and turns, because that's like life, you know, and we can all like learn and grow from it. So Dawna, keep being the amazing person you are, and creating these being these amazing projects. We're excited to see that for sure.
Thanks for listening to Femme Regard Podcast. If you like what you hear, tune in every Friday for more tips on the filmmaking business and insightful conversations with industry professionals. We can only grow with your support, so please subscribe, share, rate, and review. You can also join the Femme Fam on Patreon. For more on us, check us out at femregard.com.
You're listening to the Geekscape Network.